My name is David J. Dill. I'm with the Fount Online News, and what I have here is Mr. Lewis G. Scott, attorney, and we also have Mayor Leslie Thompson of Jonesboro. And what we want to do is just basically talk about the history leading up to where we are and where you believe we're going as far as the case going on in Jonesboro. We recognize that there have been some unusual acts of scrutiny in your administration, Mayor Thompson, and we believe that a lot of there is a pattern being established as far as well, you said it the other day, as far as if discrimination is involved, usually there's a pattern that has to be shown, and so we just want you to talk about that a little bit. And
That's right. I know that some of the toughest cases to actually fight in court, it's been proven in my experience that it's been those that are based in discrimination or trying to prove that discrimination actually exists, especially racial discrimination. And in order to prevail in cases like that, we find it's been my experience that you'd have to show a pattern over a period of time, and it's been very, very hectic for me. I think the pattern of racism is definitely present when we look at over the term of my election, my tenure as mayor since 2007 until now. We can go back and see that racism certainly has played an integral role in what we have had to deal with.
Yes, sir.
It's unfortunate that we're talking about in 2011 that we're still having to deal with some of this. But the fact is that it is what it is, and it wasn't until the re-election in 2010 where that racism seemed to have intensified. And I think that it's primarily due to the fact now that not only did the people speak and to say that they would like to have me back as mayor, but we were also fortunate enough to bring a minority majority council.
Yes.
And I think that the folk who are not accepting of this, the folk who seem to be very, very non-tolerant, see this as somehow a threat. Somehow they see that while it may not all be racism, but it is a change that's generally resisted. Change is generally always resisted, and when it comes to control, I think there's a problem with those who have been in control for all their lives to be able to deal with a situation that now seems that they're going to have to make some adjustments. Now, having said that, I don't want it to be perceived that I'm trying to change this society for the worse, or to change some things that maybe folk see it to be militant or not to be in the best interest of the people as a whole. I want it to be understood that it's just a change, even though that change, as far as I can see, or I think the people of the electorate can see, that it's a change for the betterment and for the good. But change is change, and I think that's what we see, is that it's being just met with resistance, and in most cases it appears to be racist resistance.
Sir, Mayor Thompson, you know, you're the ones who are opposing you. You know, they claim they resent the fact that it's being termed as racism. Can you speak a little bit to some of the accomplishments that you've made in your first 4 years and how progressive? Because what I'm perceiving is that you've done a lot within that period of 4-year time, way more than others before you have. And so with you bringing the town forward in such a competent fashion, it just seems like you're getting more and more resistance, even to what is actually good.
Yes. I think the records will show that over the last 4 years, and we always say that we need to see documentation. We like to see the paper trail, and for anyone who would take the time to look at the facts of what we've been able to do, you'll find that my administration came in and we focused very, very much on economic development, housing enhancement, focused on grants. We decided to be a lot more aggressive in those areas, and you'll find that not only did the census report show that over the last census period that the town has grown about 22% in population, but you also look at the area of the grants and you'll see that under our administration we actually have brought in more grants and more in infrastructure enhancement than any of the other mayors combined. So we don't feel that it's just. We don't feel that it's merited for those who say that they really want to be progressive. For those of us who can get past, and when we say whether or not it's racist or not, it's like what you just mentioned. When we bring racism to the table, or when we choose to talk about racism, we're only reacting.
Okay.
We're reacting to a situation, and when we say that there appears to be that those who are acting, that it appears that there's racism that's actually driving their act, then we are called the racist. It's unfortunate.
Yes.
I think in one of my meetings I said that when the overseer is whipping the slave, and the slave cries out that he has a problem with that, then somehow the whoopee become perceived as a racist.
Yes.
But we have to be willing to come to the table and to talk about what our problems are. We got to be willing to acknowledge that we have a problem with it as it relates to race, and not until then can there be any real true healing in that area. And we're just hoping that we can get beyond this point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Attorney Scott, you know, you're able to see Mayor Thompson's situation, but you're also familiar with many other similar cases around the state. Can you comment about the general trend of the attack going on against black elected officials?
Over the past few years, in handling cases in various parts of the state, there seems to be a pattern emerging. Because I see so many black elected officials who are charged with crimes.
Yes, sir.
Now, many times, these officials may not be convicted of crime. However, their careers may be placed in shambles as a result of having to defend against the charges.
Yes.
There have been a few occasions where people have been charged with crimes that didn't exist. For instance, Mayor Sammy Davis out of Faraday was charged with a crime that didn't exist, but not only charged with a crime that didn't exist, went to trial and was convicted of a crime that didn't exist.
Okay.
So therefore that was very fantastic. It was something that I don't think would have ever happened to someone who was not of color. So you see people stepping way out of bounds in order to get individuals who may be African American officials. Just in my lifetime, I can think of the city marshal for Monroe. At the time, he wasn't city marshal, but he was next in line, basically, to be able to get to be the city marshal. Right before that, he was indicted. Then I can recall a police officer, chief police in Lake Providence, and right before the time he had planned to run for sheriff, he was indicted. So I've just been noticing the pattern over and over again. For instance, right now I know that Chief of Police Jenkins out of Waterproof has been indicted basically for giving someone a ticket, or giving some individuals tickets.
Yes, sir.
So that's very, very unusual. I never heard of a policeman being charged with malfeasance in office for stopping someone to give them a ticket.
Yes, sir.
So that's very, very unusual.
Which parish is that here in
That's
Louisiana?
Tensaw Parish.
Tensaw.
Tensaw Parish.
Yes, sir.
And it's been such a pattern. Many of the people may be indicted by the federal government, but also you have people being indicted at the state level also. So it appears to me that there may have been some gathering somewhere where it was decided that this was going to be a strategy whereby people was going to be able to stop black elected officials from being elected. Because also, I'm thinking as I talk,
Yes, sir.
I can think of instances in most every parish in North Louisiana where this has occurred. Also, it's not just on the level of being indicted, it's also what I call harassment.
Yes, sir.
That is, things that other city councilmen do every day. If the black city councilman do the very same thing, then the black city councilman may be harassed about it or sued about it or otherwise stifled. So it appears to me that there's an effort to tie a lot of the officials up to the extent that they can't be effective,
Yes,
especially when it comes to dealing with economic issues. That is, to deal with issues whereby individuals other than the people who have been traditionally getting the money or making money from the towns may be making some of the money from the towns. And I'm talking about dealing with contracts and things of that nature. So
okay.
I do see it as a problem. Oh, and probably though the most telling incident that I know of was where the federal government set up a dummy corporation and went to black elected officials to try to get them to basically take bribes from a company that didn't exist. Now, it's probably nothing wrong with that, except that it appears to me that by going to the Conference of Black Mayors with this proposal rather than the General Conference of Mayors, that there was a targeting
Yes.
of the black mayors. So therefore, I think it was discriminatory in its intent.
Are you under the impression that there was a surge of increased activity, and if so, approximately time-wise, do you kind of get a feel for when this kind of increase might have begun to occur?
Well, it's been ebb and flow.
Okay.
I can't say a specific time when there was a great increase, because it appears to me that during the late 90s and early 2000s, there was an increase of this type of activity within the federal system.
Okay.
Prior to that, it was for the most part, according to my memory,
Yes.
at the local level. But it seems to me that there has been an increase in this type of activity from the federal government, probably starting early 90s.
I see.
And extending even up through today.
I see. I see. Well, I definitely appreciate your time, gentlemen. And did you? Yes.
I want to close with this, and I think that each parish, just to piggyback off what Lewis just said, I think that each parish has been somewhat unique to itself. What I mean by that is it depends on what the driving force is, and what we mean by that is if it turns out that there's a sheriff's election that's coming up,
Yes.
or a position that has been or that is about to be created, whereby, and I say since the election of President Barack Obama, we've even seen it even more. I think in that there has been a national reaction that says that we're not tolerating, and we're talking about in the Deep South right now. He talked about how with council members, black council members, that's one of the things that's really happening and that we're dealing with right now in Jonesboro. Because while we're in court, and the court date on last week, the substance of what it is that it's being said that we're having to deal with is the ordinance that the attorney or the citizens are filing. While they say it's about an unbalanced budget, but we believe that it's really about the black council members having the right to vote their conscience.
Yes.
And when we say, when you look back over history, you look back at our American creed that says that this country, this form of government is justified by allowing those who are governed to give the power to those who are governing, that is based upon the will of the people and for the people. So then why is the question that we're asking, would the white elected officials be able to vote their conscience without any threat of lawsuit from the community, and then when it's reversed, that the black council council member says, yes, we'd like to do this, and we vote that conscience, and then we find ourselves in court. These are the kinds of things that we're talking about today that's got to be looked at and addressed, probably at the top level.
Very good. I do appreciate this so much. Obviously, there is a trend, and this is what we want to begin documenting. And so I appreciate your time, and we hopefully come back to this issue very soon.
You're very welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
That is well.